because I'm quite shy naturally as a person, I really had to fight for Jamie, like really put my all into getting him the right support. But during that process, I'd not realised how much I'd lost myself, and I was really struggling, but not wanting to admit it to anyone. So I went for a Reiki treatment, not knowing what it was, just felt this pull because I kept seeing a woman advertise on Facebook. And after the treatment, I come out of this lady's house and I felt so different. It makes me feel emotional remembering back to how much I struggled then.
Welcome to Guide to Spirituality's podcast with me, Stacey Bauer. It's a down-to-earth space where we talk all things spiritual. Each episode, I'm joined by guests from all walks of life to share real experiences, practical tools and honest conversations about healing, growth, and the unseen spiritual world. Whether you're just starting out or you're deep on your journey, this podcast is here to support your path with insight, connection, and that little bit of magic. In today's episode, I'm joined by Annette Jackson, who was already walking her spiritual path when life took a deeper turn after her son Jamie was diagnosed with autism. We talk about how Reiki became a tool for healing, Jamie's incredible abilities, and the idea that autistic individuals may carry a higher vibration, bringing a unique kind of light to this world. This is a beautiful and honest conversation about motherhood, spirit, and the deep gifts that can come from challenge. Can I ask you, I want to jump straight in, Annette, because you have been a medium for quite some years, haven't you? And we've just been talking that you've actually been to the Arthur Findlay College.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. So the Arthur Findlay College is in Stansted. It's known as Hogwarts for mediums. I've been there, I think, 4 times now. And each time I've done a completely different course, like trans healing, trans mediumship, like platform mediumship. It's an amazing place, and it's like an SNU owned college. So all of the courses are ran through the SNU there. There's lots of different tutors. The building is amazing, the history and like the feeling that you get. Yeah, so I've done a bit of training there, which I've loved, and it's a nice little recharge and break away when you go as well.
I didn't realise you'd done trans mediumship.
Yeah, that was where my journey began. An online group that I joined probably about 12 years ago was a trans mediumship group where we got to know our guides and blend with our guides. And yeah, it sort of began there. The college as well, people from all around the world go. So when you go and you're sat in like the big dining room for lunch, there'll be people from all around the world on your table, which is a set. Yeah. And there's me with a common Manchester accent.
I know, because when I go places, people when they try and do Yorkshire accent, when they repeat it back to you, it's like they think you're a bit thick.
Yeah.
They've talked like that a bit, and you're like, that's how I sound. No, I hope. But, so the trans mediumship then, when you say trans healing as well, you must obviously use it in your healing, but do you do that in like if you're giving a private reading now, or is it not something you really use?
It always gets included in as like a sometimes I'll feel their loved ones sort of overshadow and bring in what they want to say, like come in with that closer blend. With the healing, my guides do like to assist with the healing as well. So often my clients feel 2 lots of hands on them, which sometimes they can be a little bit weirded out when I'm on the head, feel hands on the knees as well, or they'll see my guides, things like that, which is nice. They always come in and help, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I love that side. It's one of the things that we're always developing. There's a lady who is a trans medium who runs the Hope Centre in Blackpool, where I run my retreats from, and she runs online groups for trans mediumship and physical. So I'm sitting in her circles at the moment as well, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
Gives me an hour of time for me on an evening. I do that weekly with her, yeah.
Oh, do you? Oh, lovely. I mean, to be fair, I was booked on for a trans medium course, but I couldn't go in end up. But actually, when I'm doing my readings now, my voice changes.
Yeah.
Changes massively. I was talking to a woman, and I set off, and all the snow went, and my voice went right deep. It went right funny, and I was like, oh. And I sounded like a drunk man. Well, when it turned out her dad were an alcoholic, I was like, bloody hell, it were absolutely crazy. But I was like, sorry, I can't get a grip of my voice. It were mental.
That. They've stepped closer, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's been happening for quite a while. I once remember doing a reading for a lady, and I sat down, and I could feel my face go. I can't explain. Like somebody had touched over my face like that.
Right, they overshadow you gently, isn't it?
That's it. And then she looked at me. Really, she's like, I said, "Are you okay?" She went, "Are you all right?" I went, "Yeah, yeah." So what's up? She went, "Are you sure you're all right?" I went, "Yeah, yeah." But what's the matter? She went, "Your face looks funny." I was like, right. I just had to set my guide to take whatever you're doing, stop, because you're frightening her, and I don't actually know what you're doing. It would have been like
Some
that.
of the demonstrations I've been to have been so emotional where you've watched like a trans medium. And I remember once at the Finley College, the tutor on the course sat and brought this man's mum through. And then the mum asked him to come to the front to hold hands, and he could feel the energy, he could see the overshadowing, the voice, the evidence that was given. It was just so beautiful. It's like a really close to the spirit. Yeah, it's lovely. So that's a bit of my passion as well.
Yeah.
It's a long time to develop, learning it and sort of building the trust and what have you. But yeah, I love that side of mediumship as well.
But it's like any of it, innit? It all takes a long time. And for you to be good at what you're doing, you've got to trust and you've got to just keep practicing, haven't you?
Yeah.
So
Got to be patient, haven't you? Done a while. Spirits sort of build us up and build our resilience, and you've got to find your strength and your confidence. And yeah, it's just an ongoing journey, isn't it? It's not like a complete thing, is there? Like, I've done this course, because then something else will come in for us to learn.
That's it. It's where I thought I'd be now and where I am now is two totally different things.
That's it. Yeah. Sometimes not knowing the plan is the best thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is because I'm very, very impatient. So if I feel like, oh, well, that's coming, I want it now.
Yeah.
It's not time now. It's, I want everything yesterday. And I can't. I've had this conversation yesterday.
I've got better with that, with just going with the flow and trusting that spirit will guide us. But when I first began, I was like a kid in a sweet shop wanting to learn everything, not what I was doing, not focusing on one thing at a time, just like being so excited to learn. That you sort of find your path. Spirit guide us, don't they? That's
absolutely.
From this morning, spirit lead me. And I think that is the most perfect thing you can do, just be led by spirit to follow the journey.
Yeah. So what else do you offer then? 'Cause I know you do Reiki, but you're actually a Reiki master, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you teach?
Yeah, I teach Reiki and some accredited courses as well, like mediumship development, angel card, chakra balance. Reiki is the main course that I teach. And I always say I never knew this was going to happen. Like, I never learned Reiki or the mediumship to become a medium. It was more just being inquisitive, trying to learn it for me, for my son Jamie, who you know when you've met him. It's just sort of unravelled. There's never been a plan behind it in terms of, oh, I'll learn that and then do this.
Yeah.
Sort of being spirit pulling me along the way and guiding me. Sometimes kicking and screaming.
So you didn't grow up like seeing spirit or anything? Is it something you just got into later on, or?
Did, but I thought everybody did. I never knew that I was a medium. So when I was growing up, I used to see spirit, and my mum's really open to spirit. So when I saw spirit, she'd say, like, what did they look like? How old were they, do you think? And I remember watching MTV when I was about 12, and a man walked past the sliding doors that we had in our living room, and I would always go white like Casper because it used to frighten me. And when my mum asked me about how tall he was and stuff, she'd actually lost one of her ex-partners on that day in like a biking accident, I think it was. So she knew who it was. I didn't have a clue. I just assumed she'd always been with my dad. I was about that. So it's sort of always been there, but I kept it quite quiet, I think, because I just thought everybody saw spirit, everybody felt them. My grandma passed when I was in high school, and it's been my grandma from Yorkshire. She's a strong woman, my mum's mum, who's been like kicking me up the bum and coming through in my dreams and sharing stuff with me. She's sort of pulled me along the way as well. She's been a big part of my journey.
Yeah. So, did you obviously not really do any sort of mediumship until later on? Is it after you had your children, or did you start doing it? And
yeah, obviously I've got my two kids, Izzy and Jamie. So I had them quite young. I'm 40 now, and they are, well, Izzy's 20, Jamie's 18 this year. So it was about 12 years ago when it started unraveling again. And Spirit are very clever how they do this, aren't they? How they sort of win. So I'll share a quick story about what really made me think I need to find out more. So from me being young to sort of in my 20s, always been aware of spirit, talking to them, seeing them. Sometimes being a bit frightened because it would make me jump when I'd see spirit. And I moved back once to let a lady pass in my garden when I was pegging the washing out, being really polite. And again, went white like Casper and my mum. So about 12 years ago, I went on an autism ghost hunt for a charity, obviously close to my heart, linked to Jamie.
Yeah.
At a place in Salford called Aldsall Hall. So they had this organised ghost hunt. I've gone along thinking, well, be a bit of a laugh, but obviously I did believe in spirit. And I was hoovering up in the afternoon, and really strongly, I felt a man at the side of me say, "I'll protect you tonight if you need it." He said it through my thoughts. So I was hoovering up, and I was like a bit weirded out. But I was like, right, okay, thanks, because I'm a bit soft, and I thought, great, if someone's going to come with me and guide me, I'm all for that and protect me. So I went along. A couple of my friends went, and my sister. After about 5 minutes, my two friends got really frightened, and they were like, "We're going for a curry." They went off for poppadoms, and I didn't go. So I'm stood at Aldsall thinking, why didn't I go and have poppadoms and mango chutney? Why have I stayed here? But it weren't like me. Usually I'd go because I'm soft. I think the people who ran it were like tapping people on the back and the shoulder in this dark attic. But I just knew I had to stay. It was this feeling of I'm just staying and I'm fine. I feel safe. I didn't tell any of my friends or my sister that man had said that to me because I didn't want them to think I was weird. I didn't have the medium then, I didn't know. The next day, one of my friends who came, she's called V, she went to see a medium for a reading the very next day, a lady in Wigan. And she rang me up and she said to me, "Annette, I've been for this reading." And she told me that only the blonde one should have gone to this Tudor house because she was the only one that was protected. So I had blonde hair at the time. They had red and black and ginger hair. So I was then really weirded out. How did that medium know that we'd been there for one, that I was told I was protected? She would never know that. I was like, I need to find out more. And how would that have... My mind was blown for weeks on end. So me and my friend then, Anna, started going to spiritualist church to try and find the answers. We went along, not knowing what to expect. And then they started singing hymns, and we were like naughty girls behind the hymn book, didn't know what to expect. And every single time I went, probably about 50 times, my grandma, my mum's mum, came through every single time, and the medium would come to me, and I'd be really embarrassed, going bright red, thinking, please don't pick me out of the crowd. And they'd tell me that I was a medium. And I used to be looking behind me going, they must be talking about someone else. I don't know why I'm here, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why, sort of, to get me to go and go back. One time she didn't come through, and we were sat in this audience of a demonstration. And I said to my friend, "Isn't it strange my grandma's not come through tonight?" And about 5 minutes after that, this bloke walked over to the table, shaking a bit anxious. And he was like, "I'm really sorry to interrupt." And he come to me and he said, "I just need to tell you your grandma's with you." And and give me this little message. And then off he trotted again. It's actually bullied him to come over. And I'm like, "Grandma, stop it now. I'm listening." And because I was Jamie's full-time carer at the time, I didn't have that much time to sort of join a development circle at a church or any groups. None of my friends were into it. So I was a bit sort of lost. So I joined an online group, a mediumship group, and they were all trans mediums based in Birmingham. So that was my first sort of opening in terms of finding out about spirit guides and chakras and different things like that, understanding who I was, the psychic side, and that I wasn't just imagining things in my thoughts when I'd had dreams or got stuff from my car. It all unravelled from then. And then the Reiki side came in as well. Yeah.
So you started Reiki then. I mean, you just touched on Jamie. Jamie has autism, yeah?
Yeah, Jamie got a diagnosis. They actually diagnosed him. It's called atypical autism because he didn't meet other traits they had different sort of pockets that he needed to sort of tick the box. But because Jamie's very social, he would go in and give eye contact to the paediatrician. They were like, it doesn't quite meet everything, but obviously a lot of the traits he did. So the Reiki side, I actually went for a Reiki treatment myself with my friend Anna in about 2014, not knowing what it was. At the time, I was really struggling with it myself, with panic attacks, mental health, anxiety, because all of my focus just went into that fight for Jamie of getting him in the right placement, the school, the diagnosis. It was like I was a full-time secretary running on no sleep, adrenaline, anxiety, because I'm quite shy naturally as a person. I really had to fight for Jamie and really put my all into getting him the right support. But during that process, I'd not realised how much I'd lost myself, and I was really struggling, but not wanting to admit it to anyone, trying to be the strong like we do. So I went for a Reiki treatment, not knowing what it was, just felt this pull because I kept seeing a woman advertise on Facebook. And after the treatment, I come out of this lady's house and I felt so different. Makes me feel emotional remembering back to how much I struggled then.
Oh, yeah.
I felt really different when I come out, and my chest felt really calm. And I thought, I don't know what she did, but something happened. She just literally hovered her hands over me. She didn't even touch me. So I thought to myself at that moment, I know it was probably spirit pushing me, but I need to learn what she did. Um, a couple of weeks went by, and one of my friends, who's also a special needs parent, put a certificate online that she'd just learned Reiki with a teacher called Jane in Lytham. And I was like, right, that's the course I'm going to do. So booked on it. Actually on Saturday, just gone, when I went to Angie's house, was 10 years since I learned my level one. I think it was
what it?
May, and it came up. And I remember going there to learn my level one with Jane, not knowing why I was there. I was petrified. I was anxious, didn't know whether I'd be able to do it. My confidence was in the ground. But this little thought in my mind was telling me to go and learn it because it would help me. And then maybe it would help Jamie. So that was like why I'd booked on it.
And did it help him? Did he find benefit from it?
Massively. I did my level 1 and 2 within a few months. Again, some Reiki teachers will say, wait, this amount of time or this amount of time. For me, my teacher said, when you're ready, come and do the next level. So from May to sort of July, the difference was just phenomenal. I remember one time Izzy saying to me, Mum, why are you giving Jamie an awkward hug? And he was in the bath, and I was sort of leant over, going around at the back of his head. And his meltdowns would say go from like an hour to 10 minutes and then come out. And I would just include it, and he wouldn't necessarily lay on the Reiki bed for an hour. I'd just include it in with, like, if he sat down at the side of me, I'd put my hands to the side and he'd dart and look at the side of me, or I would draw the Reiki symbols on the labels of his clothing before he went to school. Clothes, yeah. And I just started noticing massive differences, that he was calmer. So I always sort of just included it in with him because he was non-verbal until he was like 5 to 6. So I used to bring that calmness in for him when he was frustrated, where he wasn't able to communicate. So I always just used it. One time I booked him in with a lady who's an autism nurse, and that experience was beautiful. He lay on the bed. He was about 7. And she loves Jamie. She was really emotional that I took him. So when she was doing the Reiki, she went over his heart space, and he lifted his hand up and put it on top of her hand. And when I looked, she had tears down her face. And when they were talking afterwards, she'd said something to him about, did you see any colours? And he could see yellow and orange and all the chakra colours working. And then one of my favourite things is when he first started high school, he's been to like a special needs primary school, high school and college. He came home from year 7 and he asked me for Reiki. And that's the first time he's ever initiated, Mum, can I have some Reiki? So he left my bed, he had this big chunk of clear quartz, and for about an hour we did this Reiki session to bring calmness in. And he loves to book in, because he loves his dates. I was looking for his the other day, and he's like, Mum, can I book this one? And he'll come and book in and like lay on my bed.
Does it?
Which I love.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, there's been massive differences with the Reiki. Yeah.
I'm glad that's helped.
It is amazing.
But like you said, for people, I know a couple of my friends have children that have Down syndrome. And when you are, especially if you don't know that there's anything, that isn't the norm with your child, if you don't know why
I saw Jamie was probably about 18 months. It was just this feeling where something wasn't quite
right
planned with his development. Because I was a nursery nurse before I had my kids. But then when I sort of flagged it up to like the health visitors and things, they tried to put it back onto me. Like the speech therapist came round and video recorded me interacting with Jamie to try and give me some hints and tips. After about 10 minutes, she put the camera away and she was like, things are fine. But they tried to blame me as a mum, not giving him enough attention or not knowing what to do. I'd already had my daughter at that stage. So that, I think, incredibly just planted seeds with me that I wasn't a good mum. And so I blamed myself.
Yeah, that's in it.
Their behaviours were towards me, which is really sad, and that's quite common. I spoke to a lot of other autism mums and parents, and it's just really sad. Yeah, when you're already.
That's it. You struggle. You've had this big shock, and it is a big shock because actually you don't know what to do. You don't know. Is it bad? Is it, what do we do? Is it good? Is it, is this my child going to struggle? What do we do? You've just had a child.
Yeah. To say I was a nursery nurse and they never did any training. So I was a nursery nurse from being I did it when I was at high school, so probably about 14 till being about 20. They never covered autism. So it's actually my husband's sister said to me one day, she had Jamie sat on top of the worktop and she was giving him a lollipop. And I don't think he was giving her eye contact. So she said to me, Annette, I think Jamie might have autism. And I was like, what's that? And I thought she just meant something like a bit of a cough or cold or odd.
Yeah.
What she meant. I said to her, what do you mean? What is autism? And she wouldn't tell me. She said, go home and have a look, like on the internet. So it was back in the days when you'd like have your computer set up and the screen. So I remember Googling autism and what are the traits, like what is autism? And one of the first things that came up was an image of a little boy lining these cars up and like stimming with the wheels. And I always remember because Jamie loved doing that. And I looked to the side and Jamie was doing the exact same as this picture, talking about things like no danger awareness and on all of these things. And Jamie would literally try and at times like climb out of windows and run into the road. He was a bit of a runner and he was nonverbal. So I was constantly in this state of like fight or flight to keep him safe. Like I couldn't turn my back for a minute and he didn't sleep. So yeah, that's what made me start then looking into autism and the traits. And that's when it all sort of began, that bit of a minefield to try and get to that place.
So do you believe, I mean, I believe, and the research, and I mean, I haven't done a lot of research either, but the research I've done is that I feel like when we now talk about children that have like autism, ADHD, all these sorts of things, I believe that actually they don't have additional needs. They're just different. Their mind is wired different. And I believe truly that they have had lives before, higher vibration than what we could ever know. And they've come back this time to try and higher the vibration again.
Yeah.
Do you believe similar or yes? Okay.
As you're talking, it was like a higher ascension or something like that. I was thinking mind like a higher vibration. And Jamie like loves to share joy. Like he's so happy naturally. He doesn't bother about sort of items. You know, like some teenagers will be like, I want these trainers, I want that. You know,
yeah, it's awesome.
Important to him at all. He's definitely here to like teach people. He's been my biggest teacher as well in terms of what's important in life and what makes us happy, things like that. And he is sort of a different vibration. A lot of people, when they talk to him, say like they feel happier. Like the TikToks, a lot of people have thought, oh my God, it just brings me joy watching him. Like what a pure soul he is what a lot of people like, even when they've not really.
I must admit, when I've spoken to him before, I met him at one at fairs, and when I spoke to him and he comes over, hello, Stacey, hello. Hey up, Jamie, all right. You know, and he's like, he's interested, he wants to talk to you, wants to have a conversation with you. And actually, when he leaves you, you do Sam going, hey, he's amazing. And anybody that doesn't know him, he has the dates, don't they? So he does. So he said to me, I remember you saying to him, tell him your date of birth and he'll tell you what day you were born.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he won't, but okay, we'll go along with it.
Yeah.
So I says, 29/12/84. I went, oh, you were born on a Wednesday. Yeah, I was. Yes, I was. And then I said, oh, what about me boy? Yes, man. Honestly, I don't actually know if it was a Wednesday, actually, mine. The boys is a Wednesday. I don't know if mine's a Saturday, actually. But anyway, and then I said, oh, do you want to do my husband's? Well, I was like, oh, do this one, do that one, do other. I were over excited me, and he's like, he just comes like that.
Yeah, he takes it in his stride, doesn't he? Whenever we go, it's his favourite thing to do. It's like, but plus where he has struggled with communication in the past, sometimes he would just go straight in and he'd be like, when's your birthday? So the way sort of we've modelled it and sort of helped him along is to introduce himself first, you know, for a two-way stage. That's why you'll be like, hello, my name's Jamie, what's your name? Because he would, in the past, never want to answer anything that they would ask him. So if we're in the shop and they were saying, so what's your name? Or when's your birthday? He would just keep throwing questions at them. So saying to him, like, you have to ask how they are first or say your name first. And I remember one time a friend messaged me saying, I know you've been working with him to do this, because he's messaged me saying, like, how are you today? But then when he, like, the 20 questions he wants to ask, because he'd remembered that I said, ask them, like, you know, like engage in that way. So he's doing really well with that, with his communication skills.
But he is on TikTok, isn't it? And I looked a little while ago, and do you know what? He gets some bloody awful comments, don't he? Like, oh, you must have made it up. You must have had a look before.
We started in about April this year. So it was Autism Awareness Day or month. I can't think of the way they do it now. So I thought, you know, it's his favourite thing to do, chat to people. So he's 18 this year. And again, spirit give you that sign, don't you, when something's right. So for the last couple of years, we've been thinking, apart from Facebook, where I do most of my like mediumship work and stuff, we've not really shared much on the internet with Jamie, but it's been in the back of my mind for a bit. Maybe we should with TikTok. And his school rang me up a bit ago, and one of the ladies that works at the school said to me on the phone, she went, you know what Jamie's going to do when he's older, don't you? And I went, what? Because she was talking about his career and college. She went, well, it's TikTok, isn't it? It's clear. Like, and I was like, oh, I was like, right, that gave me that little bit of a confirmation that, right, let's do this. So I managed to sit down for him, and it has been phenomenal. We've probably had maybe 5 like crappy comments, but out of like hundreds and thousands, like one of them got 500,000 views, his videos, just from going in the little Nisa shop at the Presthaven site. And he went in and we're in this middle aisle, and he starts chatting to one of the women that work there. Like, hiya, my name's Jamie, when's your birthday? And she just loved him. She had a brother with autism as well. So she was like all in, wanting to know. And then this other lad come over, he's called Harry in the video. It's one of my pinned videos. And got chatting to Jamie, and he absolutely loved Jamie. He was so enthralled. I'm chatting to the woman, Jamie's chatting to him. I told them about his TikTok. And then Jamie says to him, have you got any brothers or sisters? And he said, I've got 4 brothers. So I started recording. And this Harry remembered his brother's birthdays, like off the bat, one by one. It's about a 30-second video, and it just went really viral. Like the interaction. Harry sort of chuckling. He was so lovely with Jamie, and it was nice for people to see the interaction in person of what he loves to do. So his TikTok account is called Janie's Magical Mind, and it's just growing and growing. And for me, so many parents have reached out saying about their children being nonverbal and where they're struggling, and it takes me back to where. So if we can share that light out. And Jamie never gets to see any of the crappy comments. We actually laughed at one the other day, and I made a little reply to it because someone wrote, I think he just makes it up. So I said to Jamie, because I'll always say, I've got you a question of someone's birthday. And I said to him, I've got you a question. Do you make it up? And he was giggling. So I was laughing. And I said, do you make it up, Jamie? And he went, no, I just know. I said, how do you know? And he said, because I'm clever. And that is his way, because he finds it hard to explain how he knows.
Hi, I'm just taking a quick break to thank you all so much for listening to the podcast and for all your lovely support. If this episode gave you something to think about or simply felt helpful, you can support future episodes and my tea habit over at Buy Me a Coffee. The link is buymeacoffee.com/guide to spirituality. Every little bit helps me keep creating, sharing and growing this space, and I'm truly grateful.
Because it's not something that he's learned to do. He's not like studied calendars. He's not sort of researched it. He doesn't have like a formula in terms of maths, because he actually really struggles with maths. A lot of people have said about he's amazing with maths. And one of the videos from when we'd gone to Llandudno, I actually shared a little snippet of him paying in a shop. I think it was the Crystal shop. Obviously, we had to go in there. Jamie picked himself a little necklace and I got some bits. And it was £18. And I gave Jamie this £20 note. And when I said to Jane, how much change do you think you'll get? And he went, 10. And the bloke was mind blown, because he's just told me all these birthdays, but yet he's unsure what change to get. So I said, I think it might be £2, Jamie. So like with money and things or maths, he really struggles. But yet with birthdays, because that's his thing, like, is phenomenal with it.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, how does that work?
The brain's so complex, isn't it? But I think a lot of people just expect to give him like a really long mathematical sum.
Like an Einstein thing.
Yeah, I think he gets his math skills from me, because I'm absolutely bobbins.
Do you think part of his knowing is like a Claire knowing? Do you feel like that might be?
So this is interesting. One of my friends keeps talking to me about telepathy.
Telepathy, yeah.
Telepathy. I can never say it properly. And then I was watching something the other day, and the bloke used to be an auxiliary nurse with adults with autism, and he was saying about them using like their senses. Like, so there's a lot with that. I do need to look more into it. My friend keeps saying, Annette, look into it. So, like,
especially if autism children are non-verbal,
that's it.
And they use telepathy a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying. And my friend was like, I keep telling Annette this, and because I've got ADHD, I keep forgetting to look into it. And she's like, have you listened to it yet, Annette? And I'm like, no, I keep forgetting, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think
something there with that.
Yeah, I think it's because they read energy very, very well.
Yeah, so will either be really drawn to someone and want to chat to them, or if he sort of goes to someone, I'll think, oh, he's very sensitive energy-wise. When he was younger and non-verbal, if I was ever having a bit of a bad time, even though I wouldn't tell him or I tried to hide it, he would know energetically that I was feeling great. Like, he does definitely pick up on stuff, but spiritually he does as well. He's guessed some stuff sometimes as well.
But that's what I mean. I wonder if he's not guessing. I wonder if he's got the Claire knowing and he's just fantastic at it.
Yeah, some people have asked him stuff. Like one time in TK Maxx, he was asked, because sometimes he'll ask things which people can't share, which I get, maybe like their address and stuff. He said, like, where do you live? And this lady did say the street. So then when Jamie said to her, what number? And she said, oh, can you guess? And they had this eye contact having this video. And Jamie just went, 99. The woman went white and he just knew. And he's done this a few times with people. I remember a bloke dropping a parcel off and he'd done his birthday. And then he said something to her about his partner. And he said to Jamie, do you know what my girlfriend's name is? And Jamie just went, Sarah. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
He's done this a good few times, even with bits from spirit as well. One woman, he was asking her husband's birthday. And the lady said to Jamie, like, my husband's in spirit. Do you know his name? And he just went, John. And the woman was like, oh, how does he know that? Like, so not as much as the birthdays, but it does just seem like a knowing. And I think that's why we have had a couple of comments on TikTok, more from people not understanding it. So they think naturally, oh, they've rehearsed it before they've gone on. That can't be right. Or the mind can't do that. So.
But I suppose if they're watching for a while, if they watch 2 or 3 videos or a few more, they'll see that actually, or if they do a little bit of research themselves, perhaps,
as well, that's made people change their mind because they can see it that up. People can ask in the comments and he'll reply. So if people have come back and said, from that comment, I can see now, like, I'm hooked, I can't stop watching. Like, the lives, I think, have really made people see it's not a rehearsed thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I think it gives like, people that are thinking, you know what, my child's got autism. I'm worried, obviously, naturally worried about, how they're going to get on. Actually, seeing people like Jamie, really happy with his life, really, he's a really, he's quite a pure soul, isn't he, Jamie? He's, seeing that he's like that and that actually there's a lot to life. It isn't anything bad. It's actually quite an enhancement in ways.
Yeah. Yeah, as a special needs mum, there's always been that worry. When he was younger, I used to think, what's it going to be like in his teenage years? What's like when he grows up? We know at times the world isn't the kindest place. People would take advantage of people who are vulnerable. So I remember years ago doing a speech at this big charity ball for autism. And the bloke who ran it just said, will you just stand up and do this speech about what it's like as an autism mum? And when I stood up and I just did it from the heart, and everybody cried and come to me at the end. And I'd spoke about Jamie being nonverbal, not knowing if I was going to hear his voice, not knowing what school he'd go, not knowing if he'd get married, if he'd drive a car, if he'd get his own home. Those things as a parent, you just naturally expect your children to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that where there's still them worries there deep down. He may be with us, which I hope he is, sort of living in our home, it's that thing of like wanting them to stay with you, the mum link.
Yeah.
They're wanting to have his independence, but there's them things where he may not be able to drive still, there is a lot of things day to day, even things like crossing the road. I know that stuff is all about positivity, but I am honest as well in the sense there's a lot of things still that we're working on, and that
absolutely.
But it's just about bringing in the positives and in being happy, which is the main thing, isn't it, for me as well? We're not comparing him to, say, another child who's coming up to 18. He's 18 in October.
Yeah.
It's just
an individual journey, isn't it? So for him, it is what it is. This is what his life looks like, and it's good. And I think that if, like you say, we can put as many positive things there for him. Yes, he'll have challenges, but so will anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's it. His challenge is just a bit different, isn't it? That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I love him, mate. I think
he's like seeing the world through a different viewpoint, isn't he? And Jamie really saw it that. I remember he doesn't judge anybody and he's the kindest person. I remember years ago we'd gone to Bolton shopping and I was just getting some money out of the cash machine and there was a homeless man sat down by the side and Jamie started chatting to him just like he would chat to anyone.
Yeah.
And he starts asking him if he's got a car. So obviously the bloke's reaction is looking at Jamie, quite tall, probably almost as tall as me. And he really thought he was taking the pee out of him, looking at Jamie like, oh, would I have a car? And I looked at it through Jamie's eyes and he thought, this man's just sitting down. He never judges anybody. Even if someone's unkind to him, which we have had a few people over the years, it's the odd person, not saying nice things or whatever, and he'll still be like, it's okay. It's okay. He won't ever show sort of any sort of malice or anything like that. Like, yeah, he is a pure soul. He's here to...
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, why, like, if people can be like that, why everybody's not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people have challenges and you can still be a decent person, why can't everybody? Do you know what I mean?
But I think places like TikTok sort of open things up, and you're naturally going to expect that, aren't you, to get that odd comment. But for me, I sort of made an agreement with Spirit when I went on that I'll not let it affect me too much, and I think they wanted me to build that resilience. Obviously, I'm very protective of Jamie, but it is that thing of just expecting that, but knowing then, like all of them other thousands of comments, if you're sharing that light out, and if I can share a bit of hope and faith and positivity to others, its parents, that makes it worth our while. Like
because seeing Jamie must help. You must have had some messages and comments that like it really has helped other parents and other children, and it must do because of the way that he is, the way that his character is.
Yeah, I have had quite a few. Like I've had a nice few chats with people and messages, even young adults with autism themselves as well.
Yeah.
And when Jamie was nonverbal, if I would meet another parent and they told me their child was nonverbal, and if I could see them talking, there was this little bit in my heart that thought, oh, it might happen, because I just really was so desperate to hear his voice or to know that he wouldn't be nonverbal through growing up as well. It kept that bit of hope there. And he actually said mummy on Christmas Day when he was around 5.
Did he?
Being in the bathroom, he said mummy. And I just remember thinking that is just the best present in the whole world. They surprise us in their own time and share the gifts.
That's it. Ready when he's ready.
Yeah.
So what do things look like for you next? What are your plans next? What are you striving for?
Oh, that's a good question. So I've mentioned about learning Reiki and mediumship development. It sort of went from a bit of a hobby to practicing with people. Then it led me to sort of do it as a job role. Again, as a bit of a hobby, because Martin's dad, Jamie, was working full time. So I would do a little bit in school time, sharing treatments with people. We had a big life change around 6 years ago. Me and Martin swapped roles. So Martin, and I don't mind talking about it, he's always said, you can share it. It's the truth. He was really struggling with his mental health.
Yeah.
It got to a really difficult time of thinking, we weren't going to be here. So Spirit said to me, swap roles, encourage him to come out of his role. It was a really well-paid job. He was a truck driver, and swap roles. It was we'd just moved house. So we swapped roles, and we just said we'd try it for 6 or 12 months and to see what happened. He still hasn't gone back to work. Life's so much better. He's Jamie at full-time care, and now I work full-time with my spiritual work. So he sort of is in the background a lot. He's not a fan of social media.
No.
He gave his phone up a few years ago. He doesn't even have a mobile phone. He shares Jamie.
Not bothered.
He's not like that. And so for me, it's about guiding others as well. The training I love. I used to get really nervous teaching, and I said this the other day when I was teaching Reiki, because I never thought that I would teach it. I finished the Reiki course just to complete it. Even with the mediumship side, I never knew I would do it as a full-time job. As much as I was passionate, and sort of it pulls you in, doesn't it? When you learn it, because it's something that I absolutely love. And there's not a lot, I would say, in my life that I felt that I've been really good at or passionate about, or I've swapped and changed from different roles. I don't really stick to stuff, probably an ADHD. But with the mediumship and the healing side, it's something that I've stuck at now for like 10, 12 years. Like learning different stuff. So for me, it's like a continuation. We've got the room built in my garden, which is my healing space that I work and train from. So just carrying on with that, I would say. Retreats have started to come in as well the last couple of years, which I love hosting them. But I'm sort of just winging it. If I'm honest, I don't really have that much of a plan. I don't plan stuff out. Spirit brings stuff in, or if I'm thinking of doing something like a course, it might be like a little seed planted or a thought. Often when I'm cleaning or something, Spirit will just throw something in, and I'll be like, right, okay. And then someone will come and ask me the week after, Annette, are you doing this? And I think, right, okay, this is coming now. I'll wait to see, fine, and I'll right, that's it. So I'm not a massive planner. Spirit guide us in terms of making ends meet financially. I've had to sort of run my work like a business, which has been a bit tricky at times. But Spirit guide is all the way. It blows Martin's mind how much Spirit look after us with stuff. Like, it's helped him believe a lot more, I think.
So Martin's not spiritual as such, then he doesn't work with Spirit.
Doesn't work with Spirit. He is very open spiritually, and he'll just get stuff sometimes, or he'll tell me stuff, and I think that's come from Spirit.
Yeah.
And one of the times that blew his mind recently is before we got our doggy Marley. So I actually had a reading, and the day before I didn't know, but he'd gone to his friend's house and Marley was there and they had to sort of rehome him because they were adopting a baby. He didn't tell me, but he'd said to his mate, if Marley needs a new home, we'll have him. Never said anything to me because he knows I'd be like, go and get the dog now, go and get the dog now, let's just get it. Yeah. Impulsive. So I had this reading and he was stood in the garden thinking to himself, oh, if we get Marley, and just pondering it. And I'd come out and I've said to him, looked him in the face, just had this reading, Matt, and he said, we're going to get this dog. It's like this beige-coloured fluffy dog, like a cockapoo. Martin went white and he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's what he said. But, Martin and they've always been like, oh, we're not getting a dog, He'll be like, I'm not cleaning up the dog because there's always been this bit like off. And it give him that reassurance and like knowing he was like, oh my God. So the next day we went and we got the dog. And it was like, Marley's James therapy dog, but it's helped Martin loads as well.
That has,
Yeah. So that was meant to be, but there's certain bits sometimes that stick with Martin or bits that have been said, or he's had readings and stuff himself. And he's always said he knows it's there and he believes, but he's not that interested till he reaches the spirit world himself, which blows my mind because I think I'm quite inquisitive and nosy. I'm like, how would you not want to find out?
That's it. It's the same with me and my husband. It's like he'll say to me, love, yeah, I believe it, I believe you, whatever. But more or less like it's your thing.
Yeah.
And stuff I've told him, I've done this in a reading, and he'll go, oh, bloody hell, hey, like that, It's unbelievable. Yeah. Then, like you say, is like, but it's not for me. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It's not
his joy. It's earthly life. It's that's and often he'll be making the manuals for my training courses in the background, or getting bits of jobs, like helping with behind the scenes with stuff. So we both work there. But yeah, it has worked out. Plan like what's going on, that I think dragging me in, making me work flat.
That's it.
I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
Annette, just tell me, do you have a pet hate or something you want to debunk about spirit or people working with spirit? Or
that's a good question. There is sometimes people think or assume that you looked at their social media before.
Yes.
This is quite one. So for me, I love it if someone texts me to book through WhatsApp or the text me.
Yeah.
Or even if the book messenger, it will come up on you get see the little circle of the face. But sometimes the odd thing might come through. And it might be say they've been to Florida or something. And I might get phone that during the reading. So sometimes they'll think, oh, they've looked.
Yeah.
For me, even if I had looked, which I don't, I would forget anyway, because my memory is shocking. Sometimes I even forget the name when I'm reading for the person. Yeah, probably that. I think sometimes it's the lack of understanding with mediumship of thinking, what is it that person does? Or even thinking that we fully know the future as well. Like we know what's been mapped out for them entirely. Now, you might have snippets of guidance, but for me, we've got that free will as well. Or there's also the thing of people, you may have this, where they worry when they come to you that you're going to give them something negative or tell them something really bad. Like they come and really nervous. So I always I'm very open and transparent as a medium. If someone comes for a sit-in, a lady came the other week and her mum told her to come and she rocked up and she was really nervous. She's never had a reading. So I spent a couple of minutes just telling her about what I do, how I connect, how it works. Yeah. I'm not going to read the mind. You have to sit down. If they've sat there, that's weird woman with purple hair, what's she going to tell me? I'm like, I'm not going to read your mind. This is how I connect with spirit. For me, it's that honesty with it and being transparent where people can ask questions as well. At the end, if they want to ask me something.
Yeah, always.
It's bringing the openness in. But never thinking that a medium would go and hunt you down. If a medium was doing that or someone who was pretending to be a medium, if you looked at someone's Facebook, what are you going to tell them what they've had for the tea? Like if someone looked through mine, they'd be like, oh, so you do courses, you've got Bob Marley. You know what? You wouldn't be able to construct a reading if you tried to do it. Maybe we're just Grateful Fool's Day and not connect it all day to our guides. Like, don't come in, and spirit, don't come in. We're just going to look on Facebook and try and do a reading from that and see
it. I on mine it'd be me in a green psychedelic outfit. You know what I mean? That's all I get from mine. But my one is, like you say, it's like when they come in and go, if you might say something along the line of, oh, have you had has there been a little bit of a down time at the minute? And go, oh God, why? What's coming? You're like, no, what?
People worry, don't they?
Panic. And I'm like, no, I would never, I would never tell you. I did once have a lady ask me. She said to me, and it was quite sad, really. And she said, I want to die. Tell me when it will be.
Oh.
I mean, I would never do that either, ever.
I had a lady that asked me that. She didn't want to die, but at the end of the reading it was on not YouTube, on Zoom like this or WhatsApp, she said to me, I've got a question for you. When am I going to die and how? Like, can you just tell me that? And I was like, Spirit wouldn't bring that in. And she'd been told by a man in London in a little shop she's going to die when she was 97. And I thought, can you imagine her passing earlier and being fuming? Like, it's given me that. And it should always be an uplifting experience having a reading. But some people, and you probably had the same people have been to me. One lady booked a reading and she was from another country. And then when she had the sitting with me, she'd been told from another medium that her baby girl had been trapped between the worlds and that she wasn't in the spirit world. And she was heartbroken. And before the sitting, I'd wrote some bits down on my piece of paper. I would write the name on whatever I've got. And I'd wrote sort of baby girl with nan in spirit, something like being looked after, everything's fine. I'd written it down. We started the reading, she could see, and I held the piece of paper up and she was like, are you sure she's not lost? And I was like, how horrendous for me to be able to tell her that a little girl, she obviously had that lost. Then so sometimes people are told stuff and I would question then the ethics of if they are a medium that's told them that. True mediumship is about sharing that love and evidence that loved ones are still with you, sharing healing. It's healing through words, isn't it? Mediumship, I say. And
it is. I always say, it's healing. What I said to people, sometimes you can pick up when somebody's a healer, and sometimes I'll say to people, I feel like you're a healer, and they'll go, oh no, I couldn't do Reiki and that. Counseling's healing. Listening to somebody is healing. Speaking and talking through things to people is healing. So, So just before we go, Annette, one question I'd like to ask you, please.
Go on,
so what do you think your guardian angel or your guide is most tired of seeing you do?
Maybe eating Pringles. Do you know what's in my mind? Probably doubting myself.
Doubting yourself.
I've got better over time. When I first began this journey, I've always struggled with confidence. I know sometimes it's inner child stuff, which sort of where that flares up. I'm probably thinking, can I do it? Am I good enough? Or overthinking stuff, especially as I'm going through like the perimenopause now. There'll be sometimes in the month where I'm like, oh, will this work? Is it going to be all right? And I know it always is. You go in the energy and our guides and angels come in and work with us and help us. But sometimes our human minds get involved and start to worry or try to plan stuff, and we just have to hand it over. So they're probably sick of me seeing my mind skip to 100 different places sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of mediums do. There's a lot of my friends I speak to, and they worry with the confidence sometimes because they want to do they want to give the person who's coming for a reading or healing exactly what they want or what they need. It doesn't come from us, it comes from spirit. But sometimes our human mind, again, might start getting involved.
Yeah, totally get that.
Yeah.
Oh, so anybody getting into anybody thinking, do you know what? I've really resonated with Annette there. I can I can gel with her with Jamie and that sort of thing. Where would people get in touch with you? Okay,
so Facebook is probably the one I use the most. So I do have a little tick on there. It says Annette Jackson Medium, and you'll see my purple hair. Because I do that to try and stop the scammers. When you get the people hacking your account and saying that they message your friends asking for a picture of the palm and stuff or the star sign and. So that's my main one. I don't have a website, and if they want to book a private one, maybe WhatsApp. I can share my number with that, or TikTok as well. Janie's Magical Mind. I sort of manage that for him as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, Annette, it's been amazing speaking to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for listening to me, Stacey Bauer, on Guide to Spirituality podcast. If you enjoyed this chat, feel free to follow, share, or leave a review. It really helps. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and keep showing up for you. See you next time.